Check. We recording, KP? Man, we are recording, guys. Welcome to Project Mindset, episode number 36, the most uplifting podcast on the planet. I am your host, Kevin Sturdivant, aka Coach Kevion. Thank you guys for being here. You are in the middle of our 7 Equities series. What are the 7 Equities? The 7 Equities are really the foundation of Project Mindset. It's the foundation of what we teach. And the 7 Equities are mindset, health, soul, family, social, hustle, and money. And we were actually going in order with the equities originally. We started off with mindset with my dude Mike Diamond. Then we went into health with Brad Davidson. Then last week, if you heard, we had a very awesome conversation with my sister, the super yogi, Marina Sturdivant. And we were getting ready to go into the family equity. In the midst of that, we had an opportunity to sit down with a very legendary dude that truly embodies the equity of hustle. So we're jumping a couple equities. We're going past family. We'll be getting to that next week. We are going past social, and we're going straight into hustle. We just had to. We had to bring this interview to you guys ahead of schedule because it really is a legendary story. For those of you who don't know, my dude Joshua Vides has been absolutely blowing up the art world over this last year. It's been insane to watch. And as far as how he got started, like anyone else that is the child of some hardworking parents, he wanted to do his best to make his parents proud, but his parents wanted him to be an orthodontist. He knew he wasn't going to do that. How do you meet in the middle? Right out of high school, he went into Fire Academy. Hated that. Went from Fire Academy into retail. From that to working for the hundreds, to Seventh Letter, to Sir, then back to the hundreds. And in the midst of learning about all of this, he started to work on his own little project called Classic. And a few years back, he made the decision to actually dedicate everything to Classic full time. And he rocked with that for a while. But about a year and a half ago, something shifted with Classic, and he made the decision to walk away from that. And he'll tell you, it wasn't an easy decision to make. But in the midst of that, he was really searching for something that would allow him to express his total creativity. So like the artist that he is, in his search for, man, what the heck am I going to do next? He starts playing around with this reality to idea concept, painting things totally white and then bringing it back to life with this black outline. From shoes to kitchen utensils to an Eames chair to a basketball court to a porta potty. And I think a lot of people were kind of wondering, like, dude, what are you doing? But he stuck with it. And that's about all I'm going to share with you guys for now. Go look up Joshua Vides again if you don't know what has happened over the last year. It has been truly inspiring to watch, but even more so to hear personally about the space that he was in when he started this. That's really what inspired me the most. And that right there is the definition of hustle. It's not waiting around for anything. It's doing what you can with what you've got. It's believing in yourself. It's chasing your dreams. And most of all, it's doing work. So take a listen, pull out your notepad if you're not driving, and meet my dude, Joshua Vides. Man, we're here. Thanks, dog.
Yeah, thank you.
Joshua Vides, dude, how did I manage to stop you in the midst of everything you have going on, actually find you in LA? Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it.
Nah, of course. Thank you, man.
It's been really next level, just like watching it through social. And like, when did it get crazy? Like, you posted the first shoot and you were just telling me downstairs that you were like posting that consistently over a span of how long?
For sure, like mid 2017, I posted it. And then I probably reposted it in October, took it down, and then reposted it January I want to say 4th or 5th of 2018.
And when you posted it originally, what was the first thing you posted?
It was a shoe. It was a Air Force One.
And like, tell the listeners about the space, like what we were talking about downstairs, right? Of like, where were you in your life at that time when you posted it?
So I just walked away from Classic, which was like my first business that I built from the ground up, 7 years, 12 employees, retail store, global distribution.
Yeah.
And I was just lost, man. I was so confused with what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be, you know? I knew what I was good at, so I actually teamed up with Ken and we started Workwell Design, and we started designing for everybody, little knowing how that would work, just kind of threw that up in the air. And
because you've been in the community, the game for about a decade at that point.
Yeah, close to. Yeah. So I knew that we could reach out to like the hundreds and be like, yo, let us do some graphics. And then be like, yeah, here's a couple $100, you know? And so, yeah, like me and Ken kind of just like had just started that. And we both had no idea what we were doing, just trying to figure it out, taking meetings, and people being like, how does this work? We're like, I don't know, to give us money.
We'll design you something.
Yeah, but it was tough, man, and like I'm sure Ken can vouch for that at the jump. We were like, how do we charge? How much is too much? We're scaring people off. Are we doing too low? And then some people would be like, oh, let's do a retainer. And we'd be like, oh, shit. Like sometimes you'd make deck after deck after deck and not get the job.
Right.
So it was a difficult time. And
that's May 2017 officially.
I think I left from April. I think it was April 1st we started Workwell. And so for all of April, it was just like, besides what was going on with Workwell, it's like, all right, I need to start thinking outside of streetwear.
Yeah.
To create, to express myself.
Right.
So it's like, I have to stop thinking about designing screen printed t-shirts and embroidered hats and going to Agenda and selling wholesale, and so it's just like, I had to kind of go away from that in order to draw on the shoe.
Wow. And so you post it for the first time.
Yeah.
You had like a few homies.
Yeah.
Hit you with the fist bump emoji.
It was, at the time I had probably like 6,500 followers.
Okay.
Because of Classic and just because I was moving around.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, that's still a decent following, 6,500 people. And so at the time, I think I remember I was probably averaging close to like 200 likes a photo or something. So this one probably got like 150, like it wasn't even like a good photo,
Wow. See, that's crazy because I didn't know you had posted it, taken it down. Because when I saw it, I remember, and it was like 12,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it took a while. I thought you posted it, and right out of the gate, 12,000.
No, I posted it, and I remember being with Ken and showing him, and we were just like, this is something.
Yeah.
And
but what were people saying about it? Like, it just wasn't. It was like, okay, cool.
I think I had gone from. It's like you going from being who you are and then being like, I made this burger. And everyone's like...
Aren't you a real estate
agent? Yeah, like, what do you...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Because
people knew you as...
Owner of Classic and,
Classic.
like, graphic designer and, like, whatever,
And now you're drawing on a shoe.
Yeah,
painting a picnic table.
Yeah, I think people were confused and kind of like, is Josh okay?
So why'd you keep going?
I knew the second I did, I knew there was something behind it.
Even though people weren't.
Even though, there was, the social media wasn't gravitating towards it, but I knew that it was a thing. And, from there, I went home and I told you, I painted like a bowl and like some utensils.
Yeah.
Put them on the table and I'm like, this just looks fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then.
What was your lady thinking?
I mean, she's fortunately, like, I have a very supportive wife and she just. If I'm really about something, then she's about it.
That's cool.
So she was like, cool, like, what else? And I was like, let's paint that Modernica chair. And she's like, that thing's like $400, And I was like, I want to see what the chair looks like. Destroyed a Modernica chair, like painted it all white, did it black. And I think once I did the chair, it was a larger scale item.
Okay.
Right? And I remember looking at that and I was like, oh, all right, I got to do bigger stuff.
Right.
And then from there, it's just like...
basketball court.
Yeah, I wasn't even posting this. Like, I think I showed Ken the chair and, like, a couple homies, and they're like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, like, still, like, what's going on,
Wow.
And then, started taking it to the streets, I guess. Did the basketball court. I did the porta potty. It was wild. And I wasn't posting about it, though.
How come?
I don't know. I wasn't.
Do you think maybe you were like chipping away at the craft still, or?
Yeah, but also, again, it's like, that's the best example I can think of. You stop selling houses and you start making burgers. It's like you're kind of self-conscious and you're like, like, I don't know if I want to show this. It's
Yeah,
just,
for sure.
And so I was doing it because it was fun, Like, literally, I'd like put the kids to bed. I'd have like 2 beers and I'd be like, babe, I'm going to go paint. It felt
cool.
like high school all over again.
Wow.
And she was like, go for it, just don't get caught.
Yeah.
And I'd come back like, oh, shit, like freaking out.
Did you have anybody going out with you? So you're just going out solo.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously I would do it like in my community, so I'd like be aware of, where to go, where's dark, and who's walking around at what times or whatever.
So what do you think are those qualities about you, right? Like when I think about it, it's like, okay, so you had classic and you had global distribution. You had that for how many years? 7 years. Like, what are those qualities, right, that take somebody that has something, it's working, there's a couple things that you're not feeling, and causes you to say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing that makes me feel good, even though, you got responsibilities.
Yeah.
Also, you had, at that point, had two,
yeah.
right? 2 kids, a wife, home. What do you think are some of those qualities that you have that it's like, no, like, I'm going to do this?
I mean, really, I think that's a lot to do with my parents. My parents are immigrants from Guatemala.
Okay.
Right? And they grew up with nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing. They came over here with nothing, and they had 2 kids with nothing, and they had me, And like my mom was going to school and learning English at the same time, but also going to nursing school at the same time. Which is wild.
Wow.
And at the time, my dad was like driving a truck to like feed everybody. It was crazy, now that I think about it. Now they're like super successful. They have a house in Rancho and they're like doing great. But I think it's just like in my bloodstream, Also, like my brother's an architect, and before that, he had a band.
Okay.
And he like dropped out of college to start the band, and then was like, this isn't working. I got to go back to school. My sister's a registered nurse, straight A student forever, was playing every sport you can think of, So I just think it's kind of in our genes to do stuff, whether it works or not. Like my brother literally played in a band for years, didn't make $1, dude.
Wow.
And he was in his 20s.
Wow.
And my parents were pissed. Like, what are you doing?
But he kept
like,
at it.
I love it, you know? And like I'd go to his shows and he'd be super into it. I'd be like, are you getting paid for this? Like, nah, Obviously he did that for so long, and then he was like, all right, like, I got to go be an architect. So he's doing that now. So
it's like a mix of hard work and passion.
For sure. I mean, yeah, and also just like I've always just wanted to prove people wrong. It's like, especially my parents. They were always just like, you gotta go. They want to be an orthodontist. Like, I was like, what? And obviously that didn't work out. So I think it's just a drive to create, but also do things that people don't think I should be doing.
That's tight, man. And because you listen to your parents a little bit, right? Right out of high school.
Yeah.
You went into fire academy.
Yeah, so they wanted me to do orthodontist stuff. I failed chemistry twice, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to learn chemistry. How am I going to be an orthodontist? And that's when I was like, I was already in shape because I played ball in high school, and I was just like, I'm not going to be a cop because that's just not something I ever wanted to do. And my homie at the time was like, same thing, playing football with me in high school, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go be a firefighter. He's like, I found this academy, da-da-da-da. I talked to my parents about it. They're like, yeah, just go do it. Here's the money to go do that, So they were definitely supportive in that,
How long did that last before you're like, all right, nah?
I did 8 months as a reserve for Riverside County, and I think I was just like, because it was 3 days on, 4 days off.
Okay.
So my 4 days off, I was bored out of my mind, and then I'd do the 3 days, and I wouldn't have fun. It was just like, firefighting, I have the utmost respect for firefighters because it's really crazy.
Yeah.
But just what I looked in the future and I was just like, I can't do this forever.
And so you go from that to retail.
Yeah.
To hundreds.
Yeah.
Yep. To Seventh letter.
Yeah.
To Sir.
To back to the hundreds,
Yep.
and then quitting to do classic full time in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you rocked with that till 2017.
Yeah. Obviously, the whole time I was working for other brands, I was building Classic up with just like my homies, trying to figure out how to get into retailers, get collabs. You know, like we were just trying to follow like the streetwear blueprint, which basically the hundreds was providing through the blog.
Right.
You know, so we'd go to the hundreds parties, try to meet Ben and Bobby, get cool with all the employees,
Right.
and like, oh, the hundreds did a Crooks collab.
Yeah.
How the fuck, you know, like, and then who can we collab with?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we did like smaller brand collabs that probably nobody remembers, but you know, the blog was like basically like our Bible. You know, it's like follow this, and this is how you can succeed in streetwear.
That's awesome, man. So before we go into like what happened with the art, I'm curious too. Like, how long did you wrestle with this baby that you had, Classic, of realizing, man, I got to do something else?
It all started in, what was that? I think that was 2015 going into 2016. I think I did this thing called How to Start a Brand in 30 Days.
All right.
Do you know about that?
No.
So I think it was 15 going into 16. Snapchat had just started.
All right.
And I was just in a mood to do something different.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this thing for 30 days. It was January 1st to January 31st or whatever. That was called How to Start a Brand in 30 Days.
All right.
And I did it on Snapchat.
Oh, wow.
And for free. And at some point, I had like 10,000 views.
Wow.
And then at the end, I launched a brand called CBL.
Oh, shit.
And so my partners at the time at Classic were like pissed because they were like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You know, but like, you need to focus on class. I was like, nah, I got to do something else. And so for 30 days, I updated my Snapchat and it was like, hey, what's up, guys? We're going to get a business license today. Like literally top to bottom. I wish like
what made you do that?
I've had to do something else.
That
you
is
know?
really funny.
So that was like the first time I did something opposed to Classic,
Okay.
you know, besides a job, right?
And that was 2016?
I think it was 15 going to 16. It was one of those like January 1st things. Did that, and then I launched a brand called CBL, which was Classic Black Label, but I never told anybody.
Okay.
But Classic had nothing to do with it. So like the investors at the time were pissed because they're like, we own some of this. I'm like, no, you don't, dude. I gotta.
And did you actually start producing stuff afterwards?
Yeah. So the whole thing was the 30-day trial was like marketing for the brand.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I launched a brand and everyone who was following bought stuff from the brand. So it was actually really like, I profited probably like 50 grand that year off the brand. But, you know, did the brand for a year and it was just like a lot of work because I was still doing Classic at the same time. And then that kind of like fizzled out. So I think that was the first step into trying something else besides Classic.
Interesting, man. Yeah.
And then 2016, we were at a Agenda in Vegas, and Aaron Levant's walking by, and I'm like, yo, what up? And like, we hadn't known each other for a minute. And he's like, what's up? How's everything? I was like, I'm kind of over this thing, like low key. He's like, but you're doing well. I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm just over it.
Right.
You know, I was like, you got anything for me? And he was like, I'm working on this thing called Complex Con.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that? And he like broke it down to me, and I'm like, that sounds crazy, you know? He's like, I need a designer. Are you down? And I was like, yeah.
Sick.
And yeah, that's kind of when it really, it was like the writing was on the wall at that point, you know?
Okay.
Because then it was a job. You know, I came on as a W-2 employee.
Oh, wow.
And so my partners at Classic were like, what are you doing?
Okay.
You got a job now?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, Classic was like doing okay. And once that happened, they're like, all right, well, we're just not going to pay you as much because you got a job now. And I'm like, what? And it, like, you know, it kind of started getting really weird.
You started it, right?
Yeah, but also I was getting a salary while I was working there because that's what I asked for. Right when they came on, I was like, you guys can come on. I need to get paid X amount because I have kids.
Right.
And so right when I took the Complex Con job, they're like, cool, we're going to drop you from whatever to this, you know, and it was a hefty chunk, but they're like, you got a job now, you're good. And I was like, oh, this sucks.
So that'll shift the energy, that's for sure.
Yeah, so right when that happened, I was like, all right, these dudes are already pissed, you know, and literally a few weeks later, Ben calls me and he's like, yo, you're helping Aaron. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you want to do our special projects? And I was like, yeah. He's like, cool, at $10.99, I'll give you this much a month. I'm like, fuck yeah. So now it's like,
Okay.
This thing's starting where I'm like helping other people.
And so out of that, Work Well Design.
Exactly. That was like where I was like, oh, I can do this.
Awesome.
For other people.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And so obviously, that's when a few months later it was like, what really happened is Classic and me, they're like, we're just not going to pay you anymore. And I was like,
okay.
Okay. And so I probably did that for like a month, and then I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that mode of when, your project, your baby, you were told, we're not going to pay you anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of when you started just doing stuff like this, drawing on stuff.
Yeah. That was a huge like lesson that I learned at that exact moment. I'm like, damn, I let these guys come in and kind of like, I don't want to say like lost sight of what I was doing, but they came on in order to make the brand more money. That was their objective, like 100%. And by the time I like looked up and realized what was going on, I was just like, these guys are just basically like took over, And
when you look at it in retrospect, what has happened over this last year?
Yeah.
Right? What kind of thoughts come to mind?
I think everything in life is a lesson.
Yeah.
And I look back at it and I kind of just like smirked because it was like, first and foremost, somehow pulled off my first business ever to employ like 12 people, open a store on Fairfax, global, just like, that's great. There's not a lot, like, I know a lot of people who are starting businesses now in their 30s and that's not happening.
Yeah.
So it makes me appreciate that time, and I got to build relationships that are going to last a lifetime.
You were 22, 23 when you started the business?
Technically, it was like 1920 when the idea started.
Got it.
They didn't come on until like 2015 or something like that. So the first few years, just me and my friends like smoking weed and like printing T-shirts. But yeah, I look at it now and it's
when
just
you open the doors, though, you're 25 on Fairfax, right?
Yeah. So
that's young.
It's just dope because, I look at it now and some of my best friends that were with me at the time are like succeeding in different areas now. Like one of my best friends, Red, started a distribution company out of it because he was my sales guy.
Wow.
So it was like, Classic was like our college.
Wow.
And so now like most of the homies that were part of it are like doing something else somewhere else and succeeding.
That's tight. And so fast forward, right? You're going through this. It's the middle of 2017. Mm-hmm. At what point did you realize what you're doing, drawing on an Eames chair, messing with some utensils, mm-hmm. going out late at night? At what point were you like, oh, damn? What point did you start to see the world react to it?
Well, it was around August, September 2017 was when I was literally at a bar with Red and his wife and a couple homies, and I was like, I'm going to have a show. And they're like, what? And I was like, I'm going to paint a whole space like this. And they're like, okay, like, what?
Yeah.
Again, everyone was like, all right, that sounds really crazy. And I'm like, it's going to be dope. Like, people are going to freak out. And so towards the end of 17 was like, talking to my wife, like, how's this going to work? Like, I had done pop-ups and stuff before with Classic, but never nothing like this, And so it was like having to find a space that was already all white. And
you weren't really known as like an artist.
Nah, I was a brand owner, creative director / business owner, And that's when it started. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a show, And I was kind of putting it off because I was like nervous as shit, and just like life was happening also. And then 2017 going into 2018, me and my wife were up in Frisco with the kids. And I don't know, I don't know why I have this thing, but every New Year's, like I have this weird conversation with myself, like, what are you doing this year?
Yeah.
And I hate to, I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions. I think you could change your life tomorrow if you really wanted to. But for some reason, every New Year's, it's always like, what's this year look like?
Yeah. So what was the conversation you were having with yourself 2017 into 18?
It was me and my wife were up in Frisco, and I was like, I'm going to go balls to the wall with this thing, And she was like,
had you made any money with it, or was it starting to catch a buzz on Insta at that point?
Nothing.
Wow.
Like, nothing. Like, literally, I had maybe I think I painted a bear break. I posted it, same thing, no one cared. And so I was like, I'm going to start posting January 2nd at Agenda. Me and Will had the Wants booth there, and we did like a live podcast. I was like, I'm going to post right after Agenda. the fire hydrant. And then the next day, I'm going to post a porta potty. And then the next day, like, because I had all this ammo from 2017 that I never posted. And I was like, I told my wife, I'm going to try to post something every day of January and then have the show in February. And she was like, okay, you know? And so just, you know, post a fire hydrant. Okay, cool. Post a porta potty. People were like, what the fuck? He painted a porta.
Yeah.
And then like basketball court, like he painted a basketball, you know? And then I remember I reposted the Air Force one and did pretty decent, you know?
That was like 12,000 or something.
Maybe.
Okay.
But it probably obviously accumulated over the time, like after a few months, because like everyone goes back to that.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, the shoes are doing really well on Instagram, besides like the street stuff.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I went and bought some white Vans at Zoomies.
Yep.
The one that I stole from.
And let you back in and have your picture on the wall.
And I painted, actually our office used to be across the hallway. And so I painted them there and I posted them and did pretty decent. And I remember Will Nichols at the time was working at High Snobiety and we were doing the Wants podcast. And he was like, oh, these are cool. He's like, do you mind if I post them? And I was like, please.
Yes.
And so the Vans was like.
That was the one.
Well, he posted it on High Snob.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I said Hype Beast, I think. He posted it on High Snob and Nice Kicks, Baller Status, Complex, you know, everyone posted the Vans. And then I was like, I need to paint some Jordan 1s because, come on.
That's a must.
Yeah. And so we painted them at his house and he was like, can we post them first, High Snob? And I was like, cool. And he like contacted Pete Williams at the time, which was still there. And he was like, yeah, like let us get the exclusive. Posted it like 2 days later. Crazy.
Damn.
You know? And that was really, I remember it was like, I think it was January 18th. We were going to like a birthday party, my wife's like college friend's birthday party. And I got 2,000 followers in a day.
It's not even a month into you setting the intention.
Yeah.
But behind that, when we really look at it, you started this in May.
Yeah.
You know, that's eight months before, right? 7-8 months before of just messing around with it, like knowing in your heart, all right, there's something here.
Yeah.
Not getting much love from anybody but your close circle, but for some reason being like, I'm gonna do this, and making that decision going into 2018 of, all right, I'm not fucking around.
Yeah.
Sit, dude. Yeah. We're done. This podcast is over. Sit. All right, so then the show.
The show was February 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one. And I didn't know what was happening. And like I told you outside, we didn't have much money. And I remember talking to my wife, I'm like, this is going to cost this much. And she was like, all right, you know, this is what you want to do. This is what I believe in. And like, it was really, really, really scary. And I remember doing it and being I was freaked out, dude. Because like I had 2 kids.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to get the space.
Yeah. I had to get this. So we found the space and then I was like, what's inside? What the fuck does it look like?
Yeah.
So it was like drawing up a bunch of different rooms and I was like, all right, I'll do like my office and then I'll do like where I think a lot of my drive comes from, which is sports. So I did like a locker room, blah,
That's
blah,
cool.
blah. And then I was like, all right, I have to rent this space. Yeah. And the guy was like, cool, you can take it in a week. And I was like, word. And then like, I remember leaving with Will Nichols and he's like, are you going to do this? I was like, I'm going to do this, dude. Damn. And then like went to IKEA, went to Big Five, started buying all this shit.
Yeah.
And then I posted the flyer and then I was like, I have to do this. I don't even have a backyard. And so I like called Ellie's, my wife's parents. I'm like, can I paint in your backyard? And they're like, sure. Like what? And I was like, I'm going to paint like 20 lockers. You know, like all this shit. So
as like a fan, I remember like watching it, and that's what actually made it seem really cool. Was like, okay, I'm watching this all happen, and then seeing you in someone's backyard. I'm like, okay, this is in someone's backyard that he's making this, dude. Yeah. Wow.
There was like grass all over the paint. It's really funny.
That's really sick, dude. And what was it like day one of the show?
Day one, it was great. I slept in LA and like I'm like walking up to the door and there's like 3 people outside and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
3 people, you know? And they're like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, what's good? Hold on. Let me just go inside. I like go inside, turn on the lights, turn on the air conditioning. I have like 2 guys and I'm like, the idea was to sell everything in there. And so they have a little iPad and I'm like, cool, let's open the door. Doors open, people come in. oh, how much are the skate decks? $150. They're like, yeah, I'll take 2. I'm like,
Sick.
what? You know, like super confused.
Right.
Like, how much for the shoes? I'm like, shoes aren't for sale.
Yeah.
You know?
Your wife's like, yes, they are.
Yeah. Sell the box. But after that weekend, 1,500 people came.
Damn.
Yeah, we basically sold everything in the space.
Sick.
So we made our money back.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, and like what we were talking about before, what came right after that?
So literally while that's happening, I get a phone call from Frank Cook, and he's like, I'm coming into town, there's a Jordan party. I want to wear the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what size are you? And he's like 10.5. He's like, oh, those are the ones I painted. I'm like, you can wear those.
Perfect.
He wears them to the Jordan party. A couple people snap him obviously on his feet, and he's a designer at Jordan Energy. He left now, but at the time it was a big deal for him to be wearing a custom. Yeah. And then he was like, yo, All-Star Week is next week. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, do you want to do something with us? I'm like, yeah, what do we do, And he's like, I'm going to put you in touch with so-and-so and da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. And then Russell reaches out from Game 7, like a huge agency for them.
Yep.
And he's like, we want you to paint 16 backboards. And so I'm like, cool, I'm just going to go buy like 16 backboards. He's like, no, we want them regulation size and we want them metal. And I was like, word. He's like, you can do that, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Like, dude.
Sure.
And so I call my contractor. I'm like, can you make these? And he's like, show me. He's like, what? He's like, is that real metal? I'm like, they wanted real metal 6 by 4 feet. And they want an East Coast style. So they want the holes drilled in for the wind.
Yeah.
My guy's like, how many? And I'm like, we need these in like 6 days.
Damn.
And they need to be painted.
Right.
And he's like, dude, I don't know. I was like, dude, just tell me how much it is. I don't care.
Yeah.
At the time, I had no idea that they were going to pay for them.
Okay.
I thought it was coming out of pocket.
Wow.
Yeah. So I call back Jordan. I'm like, we can get it done. They're like, cool. How much? I'm like, I'm going to call Ivan. I'm like, yo, how much is it? And he was like, oh, it's like this much. And I was like, all right, I'm going to add to that. I call him back. And I'm like, it's this much. They're like, easy. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm making a profit off this thing now. So the show's happening.
Damn.
During this phone call. So we wrap up the show, and then literally, we wrapped up the show, and my wife's like, you're coming home? I'm like, I got to go paint some backboards. And she's like, what?
Wow.
So I stayed in LA for like a week.
Your first show was happening.
Yeah.
While the opportunity to do this
It was the next weekend.
Damn.
And then we got the backboards done, and we delivered them at 4 a.m. the day before their opening.
Holy crap.
Yeah, they were pissed.
Dude.
Sorry.
Damn.
They're pissed.
What was the biggest eye-opener about that experience? Was it being there? Was it before? Was it when you figure out and they ask you what it's all going to cost? Like, looking back at that moment, what was the one where it was like, holy crap?
It was understanding, first and foremost, that I can get shit done if I need to get shit done.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And that just made me think of Classic. I'm like, damn, like that kind of came into this,
right.
Where it's like, oh, we got to deliver this or da-da-da-da or whatever. And we're like, fuck it, let's drive to Frisco with a U-Haul. I don't care,
That's cool.
So that went into that, but also it was just like, I had never been asked ever to do something and get paid for it and like be somewhere before that moment, And that was the first time they're like, yo, like, we're going to pay you to come paint on shoes. And I was like, this is what? Like, what do you mean? Like,
wow,
I'll do it for free. Like, literally, in my mind, I'm like, I'll do it for free. Like, no, we want to pay you. Okay. And so that was, like, kind of the first time I'm like, this is a thing. Like, this could be, or this is how people survive, And then, obviously, not only that, but they were like, this is how much we're willing to pay for these backboards. And it was far more than I was getting them for.
Right.
So I'm like, there's a business here, there's opportunity here for me to make money,
That's sick, dude.
That was huge. And then I had a Tinker Hatfield interview there.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. And in the last year, 2018 alone, you had 36 commissioned projects.
Yeah, some were large brands, some were on the side, like athletes being like, yo, can you, LeBron, yo, can you make me some, not him, but his stylist, like, can you make us some shoes? So I count that as a project.
For sure. So I would count shaking LeBron's hand as a project.
Yeah. So 30, I think it was 36 total. Some were posted, some weren't posted. Some guys didn't want me to post their stuff.
Yeah.
Especially at like some athletes and like actors that I made shit for, they're like, don't post this. I'm like, I don't care. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
What was the one that stood out the most since you've been doing? I mean, it's been really, if you look at your first show, February
It's been
2000.
a little over a month, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a year.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
Right? What was the one where it was like, you kidding me?
Obviously Jordan was a first.
Yeah.
And then after that was the Hotel Roosevelt, was also large and still permanent. You can still go see it.
I'm going.
But I think the biggest one was MLB. There's bigger ones after that, but
Right.
that was like, I remember we got an email and we were like in New York or something painting for like a couple $100. And the MLB, like literally like so-and-so at MLB.com, and
Sick.
I got a DM. It was just like, hey, what's up? Like, we like what you're doing. Would you like to do something with us? And I was like, what? Like, yeah.
Wow.
Like, okay. And then, a couple weeks went by. We want you to do something for the All-Star game. Yes. Yeah.
Damn.
Huge. I love baseball. Huge Yankee fan. Yes. Okay. How much is it? And I was like, I don't fucking know. Called a bunch of homies to help me.
Right.
What do I say? They're like, throw out the craziest number. Like, it's MLB. They say no, big deal.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, this is how much it is. And they're like, cool.
Damn.
And I was like, honestly, it was one of those. It was almost going back to the first show where it's like, I don't even know if I can get this done.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
Because we had to build a room. We hadn't
Holy
built a room
crap.
yet. We were building existing, this space. We're like, all
Sure.
right, let's just paint it. No, they were like, we want you to do an entire locker room. Inside of a locker room, there can't be a drip of paint in the entire locker room.
Damn.
You have to build a floor. You have to build the walls.
And how long?
And so what we ended up finding out, we're literally in New York, 5 days before the MLB game.
Okay.
And that's when we got the green light. And so we hopped on the train and went over. But also it's like, dude, I went on Instagram and I was like, who in Washington, D.C. has a space that we can paint and build at?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what? One dude reached out and he's like, I got a warehouse. You can use that. It's summertime, dumb hot. And we show up and I'm like, and it's me, Ron, and my buddy. Okay, so it's me and Ron in New York. And I was like, we need more people. So I call my buddy Bobby, who just is my buddy.
Right.
Hasn't even helped us paint ever.
Buddy Bobby. Everybody's got a buddy Bobby.
I called. I was like, "Are you down to come to Washington D.C.? I'll fly you out and I'll pay you for this thing." He's like, "Sure." And we get to Washington, and I'm like, "Okay, we need a U-Haul. We need to go to Home Depot, and we need to buy stuff to build walls." And they're like, "What? We like?"
Damn.
And so we got the whole space done in 5 days. And then the best part, it's the day before, and I'm like, what's setup like? And she's like, we don't have that much time. And I was like, what? At this point, I have the walls up, everything painted, basically staged
Right.
at the warehouse. We're looking at it, it's done. But we just thought we were just going to break it down and kind of take it over. She calls me back. She's like, well, the players are coming tomorrow at 1 p.m. And it's already 6 p.m. the day before. And I'm like,
Damn.
so can we start tonight? She's like, no.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
so
dude.
how's this work? She's like, hold on. Calls me back. She's like, you can get here at 6 in the morning. And so she's like, you have 6 hours to finish this thing tomorrow. I was like, and that's why I almost quit right there, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't going to happen.
Oh,
It was a
shit.
lot of shit. I can show you the photo. It was 20 lockers and 20 chairs and
You and
water
Buddy
bottles
Bobby.
and helmets and bats and balls and walls.
Yeah.
These walls were 8 by 20 feet each.
That's why we have you on this episode. This is hustle.
It's crazy, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, and so, those dudes were miserable. And so was I, but we got it done.
That's beautiful, man. So what have you learned, dude? Been a crazy year.
Hope for the best, expect the worst for everything.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of projects, or we'll get phone calls we have millions of dollars, and we're like, and does it happen,
Right.
But also just I don't know, man, it sounds corny, but people say you put your mind, you can make it happen, whatever.
Yeah, I do say that. It's actually what I say all the time.
Yeah, but it's last year we got put in scenarios where honestly it wasn't supposed to work.
Right.
There was times when I got to Dubai for the Herschel thing, my assistant got stuck in Singapore. I had to paint the whole thing by myself in 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember getting to Dubai and I was just got off a plane, and they're like, this has to be done by tomorrow.
Oh shit.
And I was just like, this isn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it's just you got to put the headphones in and just not go to lunch,
Right.
stay up, no breaks,
So, like, I'm a big fan of affirmations, right? Affirmations are whatever you tell yourself. And I believe that everybody's saying affirmations one way or another. Sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, say, I'm tired. That's an affirmation.
Yeah.
What do you think are the affirmations you tell yourself that keep you going in that situation where it's like, what the? Something turns on in Joshua's mind and you say this thing and that thing pushes you through and you knock it out of the park every time.
I think it's just like, this is going to look dope.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what I have to tell myself to finish. You know, like, this is going to be, also looking back at this in 20 years is going to be insane. So it's like, you have to be proud of yourself in 20 years.
Yeah.
Go get this shit done.
So you, in your mind, you have a vision for what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And there's a feeling of looking back, this is going to be inspiring.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of, like, there's purpose in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know what it is, but fortunately I have it. That's
really dope, man. Well, any bits of, you know, you've done a lot in the last decade. You've gone through a lot. Any, what's your advice to, you know, the young go-getter, the older go-getter, the person who's like, man, what the am I doing right now?
I think the biggest, I mean, I don't think age requires you to be able to change who you want to be, right?
Yeah.
I think there's some people who are like in their 30s and are like, it's a wrap. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, you know? I think that's a big thing, but also it's like, we were kind of speaking about it on the way over here. It's like, I was like at the lowest low that I could have been, like, ever. And like, I don't even know if I'll be that low again, but like, I was done being creative, like, in life, you know? And that's when I painted this thing. And I could have just painted the shoe and been like, this isn't going to get me anywhere.
Right.
You know? But I just kept going and like, thank God, dude, because I was broke. Like, broke.
Yeah.
Like, your son probably has more money than me, you know? Like, it was crazy. And I don't know, just went balls to the wall and like, fortunately it worked out, you know? But if I wouldn't have done that, I don't even know. I maybe would have gone back to firefighting or like gone back to school or something. But like, I was literally ready to quit, like, designing and even like thinking creative wise, you know? Like, so I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of people in that position probably like watching this right now. It's like, you can quit, that's cool, but like, you can also not. And like, this might happen, this might not happen tomorrow, but you'll never know, you know? So just keep, I mean, I hate to say it, but you just got to keep going if that's who you want to be.
Right.
You know, if you don't want to be that, then just fucking whatever. Go work at Starbucks. Like, they make money. They make good money, you know?
Yeah.
It just depends on like what message you want to put out. Do you care about inspiring people or not? Do you care about like making an impact, you know? And if it's not, then this world's not for you, you know?
It's a wrap. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Dude, really appreciate you taking the time. There's just no gimmicks with the experience of why. It's been an experience the last 18 months watching this.
Yeah.
You know, so to be able to like hear the story, and I didn't know what you were going through when you did this, but to just know that like in that funk, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You did something. Yeah. And I think that's really the key, is to do something.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like I always say, it's literally, I bought a marker and a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
You don't have to go, you know, people think like, I gotta change everything. And, you know, it's like, I mean, that's possible, you know, but also it's like, I took something that's technically could be in everybody's hands. It could be right there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go flip a whale over to find something. Like, you just have to do what you enjoy doing.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, dude. What should we be looking out from you in the future?
I'm gonna have my first like solo show this summer.
Sick.
Which is like kind of crazy and like scary, but whatever. Huge collaboration for Paris Fashion Week.
Damn.
Which is like, you're gonna be like, what? You know?
So sick.
And Bear Break comes out this year, which I'm really excited about.
Wow.
My first shoe comes out this summer as well. I'm super excited about. This year's, I'm kind of scaling back on, the like experiential
room.
Yeah, space
Right.
design, and this year is kind of more so just making shit on my own, like not even showing everything, and kind of just, I don't know, opening a store.
Yeah.
For whatever reason I did that, it's allowing myself to create in different ways.
Yeah.
I'm having fun.
Well, and it seems like with the store, side project, if you don't know, make sure you check it out, is giving people a bit of what you've done.
Yeah.
And causing people to like, yo, do something.
Come make
Here
some
you
shit.
go.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Yeah, I think it's really communal, and I think it's open for everybody, and it's like you can come and you might make something that might change your life. I don't know, but I'm creating a space that has access to machines that people shouldn't have access to.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited about it. I think the energy's there. I think it's just creating the narrative for people to understand a little more.
My man. Well, and wrapping it up, if there were one final thought, like one final thing you would write on a wall, write on a board, write on a fire hydrant, write somewhere, what would that thing be?
That's really tough. Because things are coming to mind, and I'm just like, nah, I don't know. I want to say like believe in yourself, but it's like kind of easy. I also want to say just do it, but that's.
I think somebody made that.
Yeah.
You put them together though.
Yeah, I don't know. Just keep going. Don't give up.
My man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother. Absolutely killed this, and don't stop, man, because it's inspiring a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you.
My man. Woo! It's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 36. My dude Joshua Vides. I am truly inspired out of my mind from this one. So, as always, I got 3 questions for you. It's very simple. Just like the other equities, what are your three affirmations for the equity of hustle? And again, remember, we exchange the word business or career, and we're calling it hustle here at Project Mindset. All right. So how do you create your affirmations? Well, if your goal for the equity of hustle is, let's say your goal is to create, let's say your goal is to become a great businessman. Maybe that's your goal, right? Your goal is become a great businessman. I'll tell you right now, one of the greatest affirmations I've ever heard for that right there, this is what it is. And you guys know who said it. He said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. That's an affirmation right there, right? Take whatever your goal is and put an I am in front of it. Jay-Z had the affirmation structure wrong. He said, I am not. But then he came and flipped it on us. You guys know what I'm talking about. I want to see the affirmations that you have for this equity. Post them, share them. Remember, whatever you tell yourself over and over and over and over, good or bad, will become true. You guys have the opportunity to create your own reality with the things that you tell yourself. So tell yourself things that move your life forward. This is your script. This is your movie. Let's make it happen. So make sure you guys go to projectmindset.co as well. We have created some really cool downloads that you can go for free and use some things on your story to actually create your goals, create your affirmations. And we really just appreciate everybody as well who has been copping some of these products. Hoodies, some cups, some hats. It's been really dope to see this thing flourish worldwide. Stay tuned for next week. We are going into the equity of family, the interview that we have. This dude and his family truly are the definition of being there for each other and creating something legendary. You guys are going to love it. Stay focused, stay inspired. We'll talk to you soon.